Assalamu alaikum students, how are you all? As you know that in last video I have given you the explanation of the chapter The Flying Trunk, which is from the month of November, and now I'm going to explain you the exercise of this chapter with question answer and exercises. Before starting this chapter, I would like to tell you something, that you have to make the title page of this lesson, The Flying Trunk. Then you have to do the first page writing of this chapter. Then after, you have to write the words meaning of this chapter from your book. After writing the verse meaning, you have to start the exercise A, which is the question and answers. Now let's move on this. In what ways was the merchant's son different from his father? The merchant's son was less responsible and more wasteful than his father. He was not interested in trade and spent all his father's fortune spending his father's wealth. Had you found that flying trunk, how would be you have used it? It is a question 2. If I had found the flying trunk, I would have flown on it to all the countries of the world. I will also fly to other planets and meet alien creatures and learn different things about them. What was the discussion in the kitchen about? The discussion in the kitchen was about breed and ancestry. The different objects were talking about where they came from and the work that they did in different households. They were singing and telling stories to spend the time. Question number 4. What would you say about the character and temperament of the merchant's son after he decided to light up firecrackers on the evening before the wedding? The merchant's son liked to show off and wanted a grand spectacle to celebrate his wedding. He had not learned to be careful with his wealth and power. He lit up the firecrackers to impress the people of the town. So now, students, these 4 questions are included in exercise A. First, I have read out the 4 questions and now I am going to explain that 4. In what ways was the merchant's son different from his father? He was talking about the merchant's son, that he was totally different from his father. The answer was that how he was different from his father, because his father was a responsible and a rich, wealthy merchant. He could have paved the whole street with gold, but he was carefully with his money and he saved the lot. But the merchant's son was totally opposite of him. He was not prudent like his father. He just lived a merry and extravagant life. He had parties and went out the town every evening. That's why he was totally different from his father. Now the second question was, had you found the flying trunk? How would have used it? How he used it? And what is the story behind that? He found the flying trunk when he would flown into the countries of the world, and he was showing that he is going to other planet and meet the alien, that is the creature, and he wants to learn different things about them. But that was the totally wrong. He was having a marvelous time on. He flew over towns and cities and mountains and plains until one day he arrived in Turkey, and the trunk landed with a bump. The merchant's son had a spectacular somersault. He picked himself up and looked around, then he hit the trunk in the wood under some dry leaves. As he walked along, he noticed that the peasants in the fields were all wearing strange clothes. Well, they were not really strange, but they all seemed to be wearing dressing gowns. That is, looks the different creature and different things. Now move on the question number 3. What was the discussion in the kitchen about? They were talking about the discussion breed and ancestry, that is the different object to whom they are talking about. So they came from the work they did in different household and singing, telling stories to spend time. As he hit the town, merchant's son met a woman, and he cried, "What castle is that near the town?" The daughter of kings and queens lived there. He wants to show his wish to meet with her, but that has been prophesied that she will be unlucky in love, and no one is allowed to visit her. There was a bundle of match, and the matches were exceeding proud of their high descent. The generous tree from which they had been cut was at one time a large, but he was discussing with the lady if he impressed her with his stories and different household things, and by making singing and telling different kinds of stories which makes the happier and sad. Now move to question number 4. What does it say? What would you say about the character and temperament of the merchant's son after he decided to light up firecrackers on the evening before the wedding? So in this question, the merchant's son liked the show off and wanted the all grand spectacle which is the celebrated in his wedding. And he learned to be a very careful about his wealth and power. But he lit up the firecracker to impress the people of the town by showing his stories and by showing his things which are related to his father. He said everything has been a very different fate. Every man have a different fate. Remark the iron. From the day he was born, he had to wash the dried, dropped bandage with whom required this house, and he has been cleaned and placed all the shelf with a little spare time to talk with his neighbors. So there has been no luck, and such luck, our job now is to kindle a light for common people. But see how it is possible. Once mighty have fallen on such hard times, he was highborn, and he was saying that he is a Turkish angel. So he impressed by using these words that he is a Turkish angel, and the king and queen will be impressed by him by listening his stories and listening his singing and spend time in the kitchen's household. Then after the tea urn asked to sing, and he was totally cold. He could not sing because he warmed up. And the other person was cried. Somebody was saying, suppose the atmosphere in the kitchen became heated. The quill pen and maid wrote her list. But soonly polished table he with grunge people around. But people are talking about how beautiful it was, said one. He was the angel, he said himself. And another says, just look at his glittered eyes like the stars. And third one says, he flew a mantle of the fire, and around that the people are making so nice and cried. But the merchant's son was puffed out his chest, and he proud fell. But not for long, because the return of the word, he found the spark and burned his trunk to ashes. The merchant's son could fly no more or no go to marry to his bride. So all the people were waiting on the roof for him, but he mostly like she is waiting there still. And that was the wonder thought, the world telling fairy tales, because he made himself that is the story of the tales. But none of them so amusing as the one of he related about the matches. So that is the lesson that he learned from the people from the town, that the wedding of the queen and king's daughter was a tale, not a real. That was the story. So the beautiful lady entertained by himself, and he impressed her by singing and telling stories, but he didn't impress the other people in the court of their palace, king and queen, but he just impressed her daughter. Student, after the questions, you have to write the exercise B, which is reference to context. I felt as I were really in the kitchen, could see the matches, who spoke these words and reference to whom. The answer is the queen spoke these words to the princess. Now B, what are these words referring to? The words are referring to the story about the matches that the merchant's son was narrating. Now see what happened afterwards. The king and queen agreed for the princess to be married to the merchant's son. Now it's question 2. I shall give them another trade. Who said these words? The merchant's son said these words. Now it's B. What did the speakers have in mind when he spoke these words? He wanted to delight and impress the people of the town. It's B or C. What happened after the treat was over? How did the speaker suffer? The people were impressed by the firework, but the flying trunk was burned in a fire. Now, after that, exercise C, words and meaning. Words are peasant, a poor farmer or laborer; pheasant, a game bird; fate, luck and fortune; feel, a celebration or honor. Then prophecy, a revelation, and prophecy, a prediction. Creep, crawl or snack; crab, a fabric with a textured surface; angle, space between two lines; angel, a being that carries messages from God; gentle, kind and mild; and genteel, refined. Now last exercise, which is D, discuss and write. What is the traditional dress worn in Turkey? How is it different from the clothes worn in other countries? The traditional dress worn in Turkey, loose pair of trousers and a robe for men. They also wear a turban. Women wear a robe and wrap a shawl around their head. In other countries, the others are more closely fitting. The head coverings are different. So now the chapter is finished. All exercises I have explained you in this video. अब आप लोगों को जो है इसे अपनी कॉपी के अंदर राइट करना है। इस काम को इसी प्रॉपर तरीके से जो मैंने आपको स्टार्टिंग के अंदर एक्सप्लेन किया है। होप कि कोई डिफ़िकल्टी नहीं होगी। अगर हुई तो आप मुझसे ग्रुप के अंदर कांटेक्ट कर सकते हो, पूछ सकते हो। सो टिल देन, अल्लाह हाफिज़, बाय, टेक केयर।